Hi, I'm Professor Martin, and today we are going to learn how to use Canvas. If you are still not completely sure what Canvas is, it is a digital classroom. Even if your college utilizes a physical classroom like mine does, you'll still likely use some sort of digital interface so that you can easily submit assignments and have a nice digital timestamp on everything. You'll be able to retrieve any old assignments that have been submitted. It makes everything really easy since most of your work will be typed anyways. You can also contact administrators, reach out for tutoring. There's a whole lot of things that you can do through Canvas, and as this semester is starting, we're going to learn Canvas right away so that we can breeze through the rest of the semester without any problems. So this might be a little bit obvious, but if you're going to get into a digital classroom, you're going to need a computer. If you do not have a computer, you can use a phone, but I do not suggest it. So we're going to go over two options just in case you need a little bit of assistance or recommendation. So the computer that I use, the one that I bought myself and the one that I carry with me to classes, is this one. This is the Aldo Cube. I love it. I've had it for about 3 months now, and it has a large enough screen that I can grade and that I can get all my stuff done, and I can use split screen, and there's plenty of room. It has great memory. It's really fast and it's really affordable. So when my students don't have a computer and they need a recommendation, this is what I suggest, just because again, I bought it myself, I use it myself, I really like it. This runs around just over $300, which I think anything on a student budget, if you are going to invest more than that, you just really don't need it. And $300 is generally pretty affordable for most students. You can get it with overnight shipping, so just check the link below if you need a computer. You can also use your phone, of course. I do not recommend it because it is really hard to get things done on a 4-inch screen. Things like proofreading and just typing really long documents, if you have to do a paper that's several pages or even a couple paragraphs, is really hard. So I do recommend a laptop, but if your budget is really limited and you need a phone and you can't afford a separate phone and a computer, I do recommend a phone that has a larger screen and a phone that has a lot of memory. You really want the phone to be really fast so that you don't have problems uploading. I've had semesters where students at the very last minute, they can't get their assignments submitted and they're trying to use their phone, and it's really because just their phone is it's not fast enough. It doesn't have the capability to just do what they need to do fast enough, and then it will time out. The system will time out before they get everything uploaded. So you really want a larger phone and you want something that has a lot of memory. So mine, again, this is the one I purchased myself. I use it myself. I love it. It's a Moto G5G, and I really recommend this phone. It has 256 gigabytes of memory and it's expandable to 512 gigabytes, which is what I have mine at right now, 512, and it does more than enough. If you needed to take a picture and use a scanning app so that you can scan your work and submit it into Canvas, that way it has more than enough room for you to do that and for everything you need. So again, if you have to go out and invest in electronics, I wouldn't suggest spending much more than around $300 or $350 if you're using it for just basic student stuff. $300 range is more than enough to get you every feature that you need. Okay, so once you have your computer or your phone or whatever it is that you're using to get into Canvas, let's go ahead and open Canvas and you can follow along, and I'll show you and do a demonstration and we'll learn Canvas together. Okay, so you'll notice as you sign in that you'll see tiles. They'll either have a color or a graphic depending on what your professor uses, and it should have the title of the course on there. So there shouldn't be any confusion. You shouldn't end up in the wrong course. Click on the tile and your course will load. The home page, the page it opens to, can vary by professor. I typically tend to set mine to the assignment page. So if you open yours and it opens to anything else, just know it's just your professor's preference. There's a couple different options of how we can set up the digital classroom. I like to set mine to the assignment page. So if you click on the title and you're searching and you're like, I don't see assignments, it's because it already opened up to the assignment page, and you can go and click on it separately, but just know that that might be where you ended up automatically. So you're in your course and you've opened up to your homepage. From here, you have a couple different options. You can either go to the home screen items, all the icons on the far left hand side, and this is where you're going to find things like navigating back to your homepage, your inbox, anything that you would need to go and open up is going to be here, and they stay here. Those ones don't move. They're always going to be in the same place. And we as professors, we don't have the option to change any of that. So it's going to look the same every single semester that you use it. Now, there is an expandable navigation tab, and whenever you click on that, it does open all the options. Now, your professor has the option to remove any of those or to add more. So hopefully your professor has gone in and personalized all of your tabs so that there isn't dozens of them and then you only use 2 or 3. So you might have to just kind of play around. Some of them might be totally empty when you open them, and it's just because your professor isn't using them, but they haven't removed them. Okay, so we're going to focus on just a few of these because they're the basics, and they're the ones that you will use most likely no matter what class you're in, no matter what level of college you're in, you're going to use these couple ones. So the first one is the announcements. Even if your homepage is set to the assignment tab, that's generally not where you want to start. You typically want to go back and click on the navigation panel and go to your announcements and check for anything new. If you have a new announcement, you want to read that before you do anything else, because you might have gotten an announcement that an assignment's changed, or it might have further instructions or clarification, or you might have an announcement like the one I just posted for my students a couple days ago saying it's 4th of July weekend, class has been canceled, don't come to class on Monday on the day before 4th of July, the school's closed, and several students did not check their announcements and they ended up coming to campus just to turn around and go right back home. So you always want to check your announcements before you do anything else. And even if you only have class 1 or 2 days a week, you still want to check your announcements every single day, because your professor might be really needing to communicate with you and you don't want to miss something. You might even have a professor that's really nice that might send you a reminder of like, hey, this assignment is coming due and you haven't done it yet. So here's a reminder that, you know, if you want credit, you need to get this assignment in. Things like that. Okay, so the first place you want to go is you want to go to the expandable tab and click on announcements. There is a blue dot that will be on the left hand side of all of your unopened announcements. So if you haven't read it, you should see a blue dot. Once you read it, the blue dot will go away. Okay, you also will likely have the option to comment. If your professor has enabled that button, you could leave a comment or ask a question or request clarification, mention that you love something or hate something, whatever you'd like to do. You can generally leave some writing in that box. You can also click the like button if you don't want to type out a message but you like the message, like the announcement that the professor's left, or to another student. If another student has made some kind of comment and you like that comment, you can click the like button. Again, and that's if your professor has enabled that button. So remember that everything in the navigation tab is completely editable by the professor. So if they have removed it, or if it's not there, then it's okay. Your professor has full discretion over what goes there and what doesn't. Okay, so we know where the announcements is, right? And we're always going to go check our announcements first. The next thing is the assignment tab. So again, with my classes, I set that to the home screen so students don't have to go look for it. But if you happen to be in another screen, like say if you're in your announcement tab and then you want to get back to the announcements, you could just simply click on the panel to expand again and then just click assignments. Okay, so your assignments tab is where you're going to find what assignments there are for the semester. Now, it depends. Your professor could load all of the assignments for the whole semester, and they could all be visible at one time, or some of them later in the semester could be locked. And in that instance, the assignment will say that it's locked. When you try to click on it, it won't let you open it because the professor doesn't give you the ability to do so. You might also have an assignment that doesn't have a due date and some that do have due dates. Sometimes your professor might put in an assignment, but they're not exactly sure when they would like you to finish it. Maybe it's not going to be due for a couple months, so the professor just kind of see as you get closer about how quickly the class is progressing. So that's totally fine. These are all just things to make a note of so that you can make sure your calendar is up to date. So once you go to your assignment tab, note your assignments and note the due date. If there's no due date yet, just make a note of it, maybe star it or highlight it so that you can remember later to go back, because when your professor adds the due date, you don't want to miss that. Okay, also make a note of when assignments are opened if they're locked. One last thing to note about assignments is that with me personally, I do not accept late assignments, so I set up Canvas to where an assignment locks automatically once the due date passes. So if an assignment is due on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., at midnight, the assignment will lock. And if you try to go to the assignment and click on that assignment and it's midnight and you're still trying to submit, it will not even let you open the assignment. So you won't have access to the submit button or to the upload button, any of that. It will lock automatically. Okay, so all just things to note if you get really close. I would say if it's 10 or 15 minutes before the deadline and you have not submitted your document, just get it in. You don't want to risk the assignment locking on you and then you having no option to even submit it. Okay, so we know how to find the assignment tab. Let's talk about how you actually submit an assignment. Once you open the assignment that is available for you to make a submission, you open it and you read any directions that the professor has listed. You want to make sure you don't just skip past the directions and just start uploading things, because you might miss something and not get credit for the assignment, right? If you don't follow the directions, there's a good chance you're not going to do it right, and if you don't do it right, you're probably not going to get any credit. So make sure to read all of the instructions. If your professor has put a link, you want to open every single link. The link might take you to instructions, right? More instructions or instructions online, or it might take you to a video that you need to watch before completing the assignment, right? It's all part of the directions. So read the words, open any link, watch any videos, make sure that you fully know what to do before you start working. So even if you took notes in class and even if your professor told you verbally what to do on the assignment, you still want to always make sure to read the directions. Okay, so once you've done that, you scroll down just a little bit more and then it will give you a couple options. Again, this is depending on how your professor set up your Canvas for that particular assignment. And the professor might do it different with each assignment. It just depends on what your professor wants at that time, right? So every assignment could be different. If you have the option to type into a text box, you'll see that as an option. Like, it will give you the option, it will give you a little text box and it will give you the option. You can simply type in the text that you'd like to type in. Or you can copy and paste if maybe you have your text on a Word document or a Google document and you don't want to upload anything, you can just copy it from wherever it is and then paste it into the text box and hit the submit button. If you have the document saved somewhere on your computer or on a flash drive or on a hard drive or anywhere where you can just access the whole entire file and you just want to upload the whole file and you don't want to type anything, then you can simply go to the upload button and you click the upload button. It will allow you to search. You select where you want to search. You find the file that you want to open. Just be really, really careful that you're titling your assignments correctly and don't upload the wrong assignment. Sometimes you'll notice that there's only one option to upload and that if you upload the wrong thing, you're just likely going to get a 0 on the assignment, because if you're not submitting the proper thing when your paper goes to get graded, you're not gonna get any of the answers right? You're not talking about the right answers. So be really careful what you upload. So you can either like upload a file. It could most likely be like a Word doc, sometimes like a PDF. It will tell you if there's any kind of limitations. It might say you can only upload a Word doc or a particular type of file. If it doesn't say, you can upload whatever you would like to. There's also the option, if your professor has it enabled, to upload a Google document, and whenever you click that, it will take you straight to your Google Drive. Okay, so there are several different options, so just go ahead and just use the one that is best for you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're not missing anything. So that should be everything for the basics of how to do assignments. Okay, in a later video, we'll talk about how to go back to your assignment and see what your grade is and see what feedback your professor left for you. It's really important to note any feedback you get on your assignments. If you don't pay attention to the feedback and you just keep doing the assignments the same exact way, you're likely losing points every single time for the same exact thing and not improving. So we'll get to that a little bit later. All right, the next of the 4 things we're going to cover is your calendar. I've talked before about how important it is to have some sort of calendar system to keep track of what assignments are due when and what projects, and between all of your different classes, sometimes it gets really challenging to ensure that the right thing is submitted at the right time for the right class. So you have to have some kind of calendar. Your Canvas does give you a calendar. There's a calendar tab, so you can go and navigate to your calendar, and it will put on your calendar everything that is due at a particular date and time, and then you can just go into your calendar and click that item, and you can even do your submission or add your text box right there within the calendar. I would caution you though to not use this as your only calendar system, and you'll want to use something offline as well. That is just kind of my suggestion as like a best practice type of thing, is you always want to back up your calendar. Okay, so the calendar is really simple. Just make sure to actually pay attention to it, okay? Because it is a horrible mess when you've done an assignment and you just didn't get around to submitting it, and then you forget about the deadline and it comes and goes and you get no credit even though you spent all of that time and energy and effort doing the assignment. So get them done on time, especially if you're one of my students and I don't take late work. Really pay attention to the calendar. Okay, so that is 3 of our 4 items done. Our very last one is the inbox. With the inbox, you can send messages to your professor and receive messages, obviously, and you can message your peers. Okay, so the inbox is really simple to use. There's a drop-down menu, and you can select teachers, and then you can select all. So if you have more than one, or if you have aides working in the class, anyone who has like administrative teacher rights to the course is going to be covered in that all section. So you can select all and just send one message and it will go to each recipient, or you can select from the drop down menu and just pick and choose who you'd like. So if you need to send an email to a fellow student, you can just scroll down. You don't even have to necessarily remember their full name. If you're like, oh gosh, I need to write this student and I remember their name starts with an S and it ends with an E and I can't remember. This will be really helpful because, again, it just has the first name and the last name of everyone registered for the class, and you can just scroll down, pick who you want or pick multiple students, and then compose your message and hit send. So the inbox is really easy. Okay, so that is our biggest 4. If you can get these 4, you have 90% of Canvas mastered. So again, that's our announcements, our assignments, the calendar, and the inbox. Okay, so there is one more navigation place that you might find a little handy, and that's the People tab. It works pretty much the same as an inbox, but it just gives you a little bit more information about each student. If you click on that, you can also send students an email that way, but it will be personal to that one particular student. So if your class has 2 students whose names start with an E or start with an S and end with an E. You can go to the People tab, and often if the student has uploaded a photo, it will show their photo, and that might be helpful as well. You don't have that feature with the inbox of seeing the photo. So if you need a photo, or even if you remember vaguely what the student looks like, but you can't remember any letters of their name and you just don't remember, you can just open up the People and just go student by student one at a time until you see the photo of the student that you recognize. So if you don't have your photo uploaded into Canvas, I do suggest using it. It is very helpful. It's also really helpful to the professor at the start of the semester when we have so many students and it's really hard to remember what student is in what class, at what level, at what time. And if we can remember what a student looks like, and we remember like, oh gosh, I need to send them a message, or oh, I need to ask them about the assignment, or they asked me to call them, and I need to find their phone number, which is saved with their email. It just makes it really easy if we have that visual reference. So that's just a side note. If you feel comfortable, add your photo. Okay, so that does it for this video lesson on how to use Canvas. I hope it was helpful, and just let me know below if you have any questions.